Hash step aside, Sisko. Star Trek has a new emissary on hand who we never saw coming. When Benjamin Sisko walked into the Celestial Temple at the end of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, he became more than a Starfleet officer. He became a living bridge between corporeal and divine existence, the emissary of the prophets. For decades, that role felt sacred and unique. No one could possibly take his place. But strange new worlds in Star Trek's expanding universe seem to be suggesting something bold, that the prophets, or perhaps forces like them, are reaching out again. And this time, the new emissary isn't who anyone expected. Across Star Trek's long and spiritually charged canon, the concept of emissaries, individuals chosen by cosmic entities, has always been handled with reverence. From Sisko's bond with the prophets to Burnham's connection with the Red Angel, these figures represent the idea that Starfleet's mission to explore the unknown sometimes transcends science. Yet in Strange New Worlds Season 3, Episode 3, we get subtle indications that Star Trek may be planting the seeds of a new emissary figure, one who represents not religion, but the balance between logic, emotion, and faith in the unseen. A new kind of chosen one. Captain Christopher Pike's destiny has always been marked by tragedy. He knows how his story ends. But what's fascinating about Pike is how that knowledge grants him almost spiritual insight. He accepts fate with calm determination, choosing compassion and understanding even in impossible circumstances. When he faces alien lifeforms that exist beyond conventional understanding, from the Mayalan first servants to the Time War consciousness in Among the Lotus Eaters, Pike doesn't rely on phasers or protocols. He listens. He believes that even the most incomprehensible beings deserve empathy. That perspective has become increasingly important as Strange New Worlds introduces entities that defy Starfleet's scientific grasp. Episode 3's mysterious Light of Elysium, an energy field described as older than time, with echoes of sentience, may not be the prophets of Bajor, but it's certainly cut from the same cosmic cloth. And when it reaches out to communicate, it's not through Uhura or Spock, but through Lon Noonien Singh. Lon Noonien Singh, the unexpected messenger. If anyone in the Strange New Worlds crew feels the least likely to be chosen by a godlike intelligence, it's Lon. She's pragmatic, guarded, and deeply skeptical of anything resembling mysticism. Yet, she's also defined by her emotional isolation and by a lifetime of wrestling with the legacy of her genetic heritage. That inner conflict makes her the perfect vessel for a higher purpose. When Lon begins to experience flashes of a non-linear timeline and hears whispers that no one else can, she initially dismisses them as hallucinations, PTSD from her time travel ordeal with Kirk. But as the phenomenon intensifies, it becomes clear she's being called to something far larger. She doesn't understand it, and she doesn't want it. Just as Sisko once rejected his role as emissary. But Star Trek loves irony, and the idea of a descendant of Khan being chosen as a messenger of peace, balance, or destiny is poetic in a way only this franchise could pull off. The scene in which Lon stands before the pulsating light and hears the phrase "time has memory" is hauntingly reminiscent of the prophet's cryptic dialogues with Sisko. She's not being offered power, she's being offered purpose. And just as the prophets challenged Sisko's understanding of linear existence, this new entity seems to challenge Lon's notions of control and lineage. The echo of Sisko's legacy. What makes this potential new emissary storyline so powerful isn't that it replaces Sisko, it extends his legacy. Sisko's journey was about reconciling human rationality with divine mystery. He was both a captain and a prophet, both flesh and symbol. Lon's path seems to mirror that, but with a 23rd century twist, where Sisko found faith among the stars. Lon may find redemption, a way to break free from the genetic destiny that has haunted her family for centuries. In DS9, the prophets existed outside time. They saw Sisko's life as one continuous moment, but perhaps their influence wasn't limited to Bajor. The idea that there are echoes of similar entities across the galaxy, beings who communicate through dreams, light, and emotion, feels like a natural evolution of Star Trek's spiritual canon. It would mean that the prophets weren't unique, but part of a greater cosmic network, and that Sisko's role was the first chapter in a story still unfolding. Faith in the frontier. What's striking about Strange New Worlds is how it dares to mix the philosophical with the personal. The Federation prides itself on science and progress, yet its greatest captains, Kirk, Picard, Janeway, and now Pike, often find themselves face to face with phenomena that can't be quantified. Lon's experience with the Light of Elysium continues that tradition.